Hello everyone, my name is Dara Rath. I'm the pastor at Faith Lutheran Church in Port Elgin, Ontario, Canada. And each week I bring you a story that takes about 5 minutes to watch. And this story today is from a book called Flowers in the Wind by Robert Coos. And the story is called Little Joe. Some years ago, Beverly Houseman attended a Catholic nursing school. Interestingly enough, no one in her class, including Beverly, was Catholic. Rather, all of the nursing students were either Pentecostal or Baptist. Neither of these Protestant denominations believed in infant baptism. Because of their beliefs, the students all said they would refuse to baptize a baby in the case of an emergency. And because of their refusal, Sister James Celia told the group, "You knew this was a Catholic school when you applied. You should also know that you would have to adhere to our teachings." Well, the 24 nursing students of the class decided to compromise. They promised, they agreed they would learn the procedure of baptism if they would never actually have to do it. With that compromise, they were able to advance in their nursing studies. Years went by and Beverly moved to Ohio and her husband Harley and Beverly got a job in a small 8-bed hospital where many of the staff members were Catholic. Therefore, she never had to worry about ever baptizing any infants. Then one stormy night, Beverly was asked to baptize a baby. A woman had come into the hospital from the raging storm and gave birth 2 months prematurely to a baby that weighed only 2 pounds and 1 ounce. The nursing staff believed that the infant had little chance of surviving. Because this was a small hospital, the nursery was rather primitive. It had no neonatologists, no incubators, oxygen, and prayer. The staff did its best to keep the little boy alive. They knew they had to keep the incubator at 98 degrees Fahrenheit. When Beverly went to see the mother, she said, "I want him baptized." When Beverly phoned the priest, he told her that he had no transportation and would not be able to come until the next day. Beverly then called the nursing supervisor, who was Catholic, but she had the day off. Amazingly enough, not a single Catholic staff member was on duty in the hospital that night. Beverly went back to the infant's mother and explained that she was not Catholic, that her denomination did not think about infant baptism, but Beverly said that she would baptize the baby if the mother insisted on it, or they could just pray during the night and hope the infant would be alive by the morning, when the priest would come. Because the mother was adamant in her desire to have the child baptized, Beverly agreed. Beverly took a sterile medicine cup, sterile water, and sterile cotton balls. She lifted the precious little head in the palm of her hand and the other hand and poured the water on his head, saying, "Joseph Sanchez, I baptize you in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit." With tears running down her face, she handed Joseph to his mother. Over the next months, the staff gave special care to Joseph, and he captured their hearts. In fact, the staff began calling him Little Joe. Each day, the nurses would pray that Little Joe would live at least until their shift was over. Then one afternoon, when Beverly came to work, the outgoing staff said that Little Joe had a bad day, and he may not live through the night. Well, Beverly prayed. Oh my goodness, she wanted him to live. After making rounds on all the other babies, Beverly came back to Little Joe. Oh, no! The temperature gauge of the incubator read 80 degrees Fahrenheit instead of 98 degrees. She discovered the electrical plug lying on the floor. After plugging it back in, she called her pastor and others to pray for Joe. She lived through the night, and he lived through the night. Beverly was then off duty for 3 days. When she returned to work, she discovered that Little Joe, having reached 5 pounds, had been discharged. She was very sad, for she didn't get a chance to say goodbye to this little miracle baby. Then years went by. Then one night, Beverly's husband Harley came back from a men's church dinner. "Wait until I see what I have for you." In his hand was a picture of a teenager. On the back of this message said, "Dear Mrs. Houseman, my name is Joseph Sanchez. I'm 14 years old and weigh 140 pounds. Thank you for taking care of me when I was born. Little Joe." Well, I have an interesting story that's a personal story. My first job as a nurse was working delivering babies. I was working in the case room at Joe Brant Hospital. And this one evening, this lady arrived, and she didn't seem to be too far along. I went to get all the things to examine her, and she said, "Oh, nurse," she said, "I think I'm pushing." She said, "I think I'm having the baby." So I put her onto the stretcher and got her into the case room, and out came this baby, started to come, and it was in the sack. The head was in the sack. And so I clawed at the baby's mouth as it was coming out and broke the sack and sucked and sucked and sucked like mad, because if the baby had taken a breath, it would have inhaled the amniotic fluid. And so the sack was really tough. And so I managed to get it over the baby's head. Then I got the shoulders out, and then I called up to the operating room theater because I knew there was an anesthetist up there. Other doctors were not in the hospitals in those times. And so he came down and checked the baby's lungs and everything, and she was absolutely fine. So anyway, several years later, we moved to East Burlington. By that time, we had 2 children in schools down there. And we went over to a parent night at the gym. And all the kids had their artwork and everything up in the gym, and all the parents were gathered there. And this lady came up to me and she said, "Hi," she said, "is your name Darlene Rath?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, you probably don't remember me, but I had a baby a few years ago at Joe Brant Hospital, and she was born in the sack." And I said, "Oh my gosh, yes, I certainly do remember you." I remember the incident really well because it was quite scary for me at the time, trying to suck the baby's mouth out so that she wouldn't inhale the amniotic fluid. And she said, "Yes," she said, and she took me by her hand and she took me over to see this little girl who was standing looking at the artwork, and she had long pigtails and she's cute as could be. And her mom said to her, "I want you to meet the lady who brought you into the world." Well, of course, I started crying. The mother was crying. And of course, this little girl's looking at us, wondering why we're all crying. But it was quite a beautiful experience, actually, to go and see this little one, this little girl that was a little baby in my arms, when she was born. So there's a cute little story for you. I just took a few more minutes to tell you that story. So thanks for taking 5, and blessings on your day.